Speaking of Toronto FC, wow, what a transition.
It's
They were
crazy.
also they were also eliminated on the 5th of October for the fourth consecutive season. They are watching the playoffs from the couch. Big name signings, multiple head coaches, and multiple game plans. They have not found the solution to get them into the postseason pretty much since the treble season. I mean, really. While they look ahead and figure out how to get it right in 2025, we look back to see what went wrong in 2024. Listen, some of us were correct in predicting this to be one of the worst teams in the league. Others were Connor. And it all started with an awful preseason transfer window. There were rumors at the time that both Italian designated players were going to leave, which they probably should have, let's be real. I predicted them to be nothing short of awful, which they were. And after winning the Wooden Spoon in 2023, their response was one, count it, one marshmallow. No, I'm just kidding. Good old SpongeBob. A single defensive midfielder was their only solution to being a team that finished dead last the year before. A team that has one of the highest payrolls in the league, deciding that their response to being the worst team in the league was to bring in one defensive midfielder from Honduras. Are you sure? Like maybe you want to get more than one striker. Maybe you want to get more than, I don't know, one outside back. I don't know. Take a look. There's like 100 different things you can do. But one defensive midfielder wasn't going to fix all your problems, and here we are.
Yeah, I honestly like I think I don't have like a ton of bad things to say about Toronto this year, as much as like their goal
That's
difference.
crazy, considering that you were in agreement with me that they would be the single worst team in MLS
That's
history.
I did not say they were going to be the worst team in MLS history. I did
But you
agree
should
that they
have,
were going to
right?
be there. It is recorded. You, I am very sure, but I did think they were going to be very bad this year, and I think that's why I don't have like a ton of like bad things to say. Like I think there's a lot of like good things brewing in Toronto, and but that being said, I'll start with the first one. So in my opinion, I think they needed to get more out of their mid-level players from this team. So Prince Owusu had 9 goal contributions this season. Bernadeschi had 16, and Insigne had 11. I think Insigne didn't play a ton of minutes this year, probably I think because of injuries. But the highest out of anyone else on the team after that was 5. So these three, and if we're really being honest, probably just Bernadeschi, were carrying the attack this year, and I think they weren't getting enough out of the rest of the squad. And additionally, on the defensive side of the ball, that was very much not good either, which is made up of all non-designated players. So they conceded 61 goals, which was the sixth most in the league. And if you're going to struggle in the attack, you need to have a pristine defense. We talked about this. We just talked about this with Nashville being the case for many years. So in this case, they did not, and in the end, it hurt them. So if they can get more out of their non-designated players, whether in the defense or the midfield, I think that can swing the tide in the favor of Toronto. Because I think Bernadeschi actually was really good this year, especially considering he was playing in a deeper kind of, I don't know, he was a little bit played in different positions, wing backs and wingers, but I think he did a really good job with wherever he was played. If Insigne was healthy, I think he could have had a really strong season too, and just got more minutes. So I think there is like potential for this Toronto team, but we didn't see it. We didn't see enough of it this season.
Which is good because now there's no clip of me saying that they're going to be the worst team in the league in history and then them making a stupid playoff run and winning something, you know?
That is good.
Um, but I will say that my second point is very similar, and it goes to underperforming designated players again, right? Because I believe that is a title I used in 2023 because they had the same problem, didn't they? Um, it rings true, right? TFC have three designated players, two Italians from Serie A who are on big, big money, and Richie Larea, Orlando City legend. Yes, sir. Insigne played like half the season. He had 4 goals, 6 assists. Bernadeschi played like a guy who just was the way I describe it is like if you take a kid from like the A team, you put him on the D team, and he's like, just go have fun because you think you're better than everybody else, and he doesn't listen to any tactical advice. He just picks up the ball and does whatever the hell he wants. That was what Bernadeschi did this year. He only played 4 more games than Insigne did. He had 8 goals, 6 assists. I'm sure a bunch from the penalty spot because, duh. And then Larea
He
played the least
actually,
of them all.
were you saying that for Insigne for the penalty spot?
No, Bernadeschi. Actually, I think Bernadeschi only had like one.
Bernadette, went 0 for 3 from the PK spot.
Really? I remember reading that because I think I put it in there at first. I'm like, there's no way he scored 8 open play goals because Toronto were that bad. Larea played less than everybody. He only played 12 games. He played less than 1,000 minutes.
Wait, is
And he had
Larea
one,
the other? I thought it was Osorio that was the other DP.
according to Wikipedia, it was Richie Larea.
Okay. No, I
Jonathan
trust
Osorio got
Wikipedia.
bought down this year.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But then again, what do I know? Um, but here's the deal, right? Less than 1,000 minutes. I think the other two had somewhere between a combined, like the 3 designated players combined, maybe hit 6,000 minutes if they got lucky, which is not what you want to see out of your designated. Actually, probably closer to 5,000 now that I think about it. But if they're not playing, they're not making a difference anywhere than except at your wallet, right? At your bank statement. Bernadeschi also got suspended 5 different times for yellow and red card suspensions, showing that he clearly doesn't care about being here. And personally, he, along with his other Italian buddies, should just hop a flight back to Fiorentina or wherever they want to go, so TFC can actually rebuild. Because you're not going to rebuild properly with these guys. I'm going to use the term taking up roster space. I'm going to be nice about it.
I mean, in
But
fairness, if you took them out of this team, you would probably be correct in your prediction.
which is why I made the prediction in the first place. Because as you said, it's recorded. That's why I made the prediction in the first place. I said those two are going to leave, and if they leave, this will be the worst team in history. Period. With a T, right? That's how the kids say it. Period with a T. Because ever.
Never
Um,
again.
but listen, right? If you've got 3 designated players and they are not playing for you, all they're doing is costing you money for nothing. Ship them out. Get players who want to be here. Actually build towards success again.
All right, so my second point is called doing that little bit extra. And I've titled this section in that way because this team consistently sat in the playoff chase all season long, despite the fact that they lost 19 games this season. If they could just do that little bit extra in a few more games, you're looking at a playoff appearance. But because they couldn't do that, it's very likely that they'll look to rebuild for next year, whether that's with or without the Italians. But for them to be still in the playoff chase that much, despite losing 19 games this year, that is one less loss than New England, as bad as New England has been. Like, that is a ton of losses. If you could just take that one extra, like, get that one extra touch in there, win that one extra header, get a point or two here or there, huge difference. You're in the playoffs now. So I think if you can do that, turn a couple of those losses into draws, just do that little bit extra, completely different outlook on Toronto's season. You're looking at them in the playoffs, and it's a huge overachievement from what we expected from them in the season. Not to say that they didn't overachieve what we expected, because they definitely did, but would have been even more.
To clarify, Lorenzo Insigne didn't break 1,400 minutes. Bernadeschi hit 24. So he actually got some minutes in there. But when you've got 2 of your players who didn't even break 1,500 minutes out of your 3, that's not good. Just wanted to clarify that before we
I
go.
can't believe Richie Larea is a designated player. That's actually
Yeah.
insane.
All right. Well, let's get to the last point here so we can wrap this Eastern Conference what went wrong up and prepare for the last episode in the Eastern Conference, which will feature 2 other teams. So we'll finish that up next week. Mine is very similar to some others, and it is that their squad depth sucks. When you are in a salary cap league, the risk of going big at the top is that the middle and bottom usually lets you down if you need them to step up. Well, since they didn't address the depth from point one, as we mentioned, and it's clear that the big names didn't deliver from point two, you can see how depth would be a real problem for this group if they didn't step up. Specifically, though, it is in the attack where they were let down. Prince Owusu at the 9, and his only listed backup was a TFC2 striker, which, whatever, right? When Bernadeschi and Insigne weren't getting things done, you looked at super draft picks like Therese Spicer and DeAndre Kerr to fill in, as well as at the nine, right? They played at the nine a little bit too. Derek Etienne Jr. or Kosi Thompson. Three of those four guys just hit the age where they can legally buy alcohol. For a team that's built around high level performers like the Italian duo, that drop off in quality is so drastic, it will hurt you. Like, it's not like going from a mid-level TAM guy to a reserve where you that drop off isn't as extreme. When you're going from Insigne Bernadeschi as attackers, oh, they're not getting the job done, or Bernadeschi's gotten his 700th yellow card suspension because he just keeps yelling at the referee. Okay, who's up next? You just graduated college, in you go. Right, that drop off, massive. So the depth wasn't good enough for them. And not saying that they were bad players, by the way. Not saying like, oh yeah, like they didn't do the job. They weren't great, but they did well for what they should have been expected to do. But that drop off going from it's like taking Carlos Vela out and putting in Alex Mouil, right? Like but that's in the opposite direction. You got Vela here, Mouil up here. It's the same idea, just different direction, right?
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that, and I'm gonna go
You
into
don't
my
need to
last
pretend.
point.
I know you weren't listening. I saw your eyes glued
I
on your
heard
screen.
you. I heard you talk about Carlos Vela comparing him to Alex Muillo. So I'm just gonna move on to the next point. My last point here is first year head coach. So if you listen to our not so deep dive or even just the beginning of the segment, you know that at the start of the year, we were not high on Toronto in the slightest for many reasons, some of which Andrew has mentioned before, some of which we've seen now as the end of the season has come about. So to see them constantly in the playoff chase, I think was a big improvement on our expectations. And I honestly believe it was an overachievement of probably many people's expectations outside of us just being Debbie Downers on this team. I mean, they improved by 15 points over last season. And I understand the bar was extremely low last year, so that may not be saying too much. But and if a 15-point improvement is a step in the right direction, no matter how you look at it. Add in the fact that it is a new head coach who was coaching club football for the first time ever. And I think you're quite frankly looking at a pretty decent season, even if they didn't make the playoff. For this side, with the pieces that they have in place, I think they could potentially make a push for the playoffs next season. Now, obviously, that's a lot of ifs in place, right? If the Italians leave, they're probably not making the playoffs next year unless they make some huge investments and they all pan out. But as it was Herdman's first season ever coaching club football, I think some time needs to be given to him to play around and make things work, both tactically and in the transfer market. So I think one more season will be a better test of whether or not he can hack it in this league. But I think in year one, with the pieces that he was given, I think he did a good job. But I think he still needs a little bit more time to kind of learn how things play out in this league, like learn how different players play and like what works in this league and what doesn't. And to get some time in the transfer market as well. Because as you mentioned, he didn't get any help in this offseason to help bolster this team at all.